1. Joseph Fritzl, imprisoned. His daughter. For 24 years, in 1984, 18-year-old Elizabeth Fritzl disappeared in Austria. Her father, Joseph Fritzl, claimed she had run away. In reality, he had imprisoned her inside a concealed underground complex beneath the family home. Elizabeth remained there for 24 years. A endured repeated sexual abuse and gave birth to 7 children. The secret was exposed in 2008 after one of the children became seriously ill. Fritzl later received a life sentence after pleading guilty to crimes including rape, enslavement, and negligent homicide to 3 missing. Women were alive inside a Cleveland house. Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus disappeared separately between 2002 and 2004. Ariel Castro had abducted all 3 and imprisoned them inside his Cleveland home. They remained captive for years until Berry escaped in May 2013 and called police. Castro later pleaded guilty to hundreds of charges. The house stood on an ordinary residential street while the families of the missing women continued searching 3-3 the Turpin. Children were prison nursing their Au home. In January 2018, 17-year-old Jordan Turpin escaped from her family's home in Paris, California, and called 911. Police found 13 siblings who had endured severe deprivation and abuse. Authorities said some had been restrained with chains and padlocks. In January 2018, 17-year-old Jordan Turpin escaped from her family's home in Paris, California, and called 911. Police found 13 siblings who had endured severe deprivation and abuse. Authorities said some had been restrained with chains and padlocks. David and Louise Turpin later pleaded guilty to multiple felony charges, including torture and false imprisonment, and received life sentences with parole eligibility after 25 years for Natasha Kampusch was missing for 8 years. 10-year-old Natasha Kampusch disappeared on her way to school in Austria in 1998. Wolfgang Pricklepil had abducted her and imprisoned her in a concealed, windowless room beneath his property. She remained captive for more than 8 years before escaping in August 2006. Pricklepil died by suicide shortly afterward. A later investigation concluded that he had almost certainly acted alone. 5. J.C. Dugard was held captive. For 18 years, J.C. Dugard was 11 when she was kidnapped near her California home in 1991. Philip and Nancy Garrido kept her hidden behind their property for more than 18 years. Dugard was finally identified in 2009 after authorities became suspicious of Philip Garrido. Both kidnappers later pleaded guilty, and Philip Garrido received a sentence of 431 years to life. 6. Colleen Stan was kept inside a box beneath a bed in 1977. 20-year-old Colleen Stan accepted a ride while hitchhiking in California. Cameron and Janice Hooker abducted her, beginning 7 years of captivity and abuse. For long periods, Stan was confined inside a coffin-like wooden box beneath the couple's bed. Cameron Hooker also convinced her that an imaginary organization called The Company would kill her family if she escaped. He was later convicted and sentenced to 104 years. In prison, 7, Marc Dutroux, A, built hidden rooms. For kidnapped girls, Belgian criminal Marc Dutroux abducted multiple girls during the 1990s and imprisoned victims in concealed spaces inside his properties. 6 girls were kidnapped during the later series of crimes. Only 2 survived. Dutroux was convicted of kidnapping, rape, and murder, and sentenced to life imprisonment. The case also triggered enormous anger in Belgium over failures in the police and justice systems. 8. David Parker Ray had a soundproof torture trailer. David Parker Ray lived near Elephant Butte, New Mexico. Beside his home was a converted, soundproof trailer containing restraints and equipment used to abuse kidnapped women. Ray called it his toy box. The case broke open in 1999 after survivor Cynthia Vigil escaped. The FBI says Ray was serving more than 223 years for kidnapping and related offenses. Investigators suspected additional victims, but unproven murder claims remain unproven. 9. Fred and Rose West hid victims at their home. For years, 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester looked like an ordinary family home. Then police began excavating the property and discovered human remains beneath and around it. Fred and Rose West had abused and murdered young women and girls, including members of their own family. Fred West died before trial. Rose West was convicted of 10 murders and received a whole life sentence. 10 Armin Meiwes, found a willing victim online, German computer technician Armin. Maywes used the internet to seek someone willing to participate in his cannibalistic fantasy. He found Bernd Brandes, who traveled to Maywes' home in 2001. Maywes eventually killed Brandes and consumed parts of his body. After a retrial, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. 11 Luca Magnotta murdered Tun Lin. In 2012, student Jun Lin was murdered in Montreal by Luca Magnotta. Material connected with the killing appeared online, and packages containing human remains were mailed to several locations. Magnotta fled Canada but was arrested in Berlin. He was later convicted of first-degree murder after a jury rejected his argument that he should not be held criminally responsible because of mental illness. 12. The Snowtown. Bodies in. Barrels murders. In 1999, police entered a disused bank building in Snowtown, South Australia, and discovered barrels containing human remains. The discovery exposed a series of murders associated primarily with John Bunting and Robert Wagner. The crimes became known as the Snowtown or Bodies in Barrels murders. The case involved 12 victims overall, and the principal offenders received multiple life sentences. 13. Chris Watts asked for his missing family to come home. In August 2018, Shanann Watts and her daughters Bella and Celeste disappeared in Colorado. Shanann was pregnant. Her husband, Chris Watts, appeared on television saying he wanted his family home. He already knew where they were. Watts had murdered Shanann and their daughters and disposed of their bodies at an oil site connected to his work. He later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life without parole.